Hey guys, I'm going to set up this mentoring room and then we'll get started shortly with the mentoring session for today. Just got a couple of things here to update and we'll be good shortly. It's good. It's good. One last thing here. There we go. All right, let me get this link sent out over here. All right, let's see. All right, guys, I'll get a few moments for people to make their way into the mentoring session. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, there's not really too much to cover today. It's just a PRB entry. There's no other official entries that came up. Also, for the reversal strategy here that we were trying to look at, it's not looking like we're going to have anything here anytime soon. It's probably going to come up a little later, but at the moment, there's just nothing for us to really take here with regard to this specific strategy. So it looks like people are still joining in. See if there's anything else here on the Discord that I'm missing. All right, guys, it looks like majority of you guys are here so far. So there's not really too much to cover, guys. If there's anything else that you guys want me to cover aside from the PRB entry, feel free to pop into the chat. But for the most part, I think that's going to be the main thing that we'll be looking at here. There's no official entries that came up today. As you guys can see, unfortunately, this type of market was just very choppy and it was very unpredictable. So you guys can see over here at 6:30 where price kind of spiked up. And I'll go back over here and we'll just go from the start. So let's go over here from the start real quick at 6:30, and then we'll kind of go through my thought process so that you guys can see exactly what I was looking at when price came through. And I just want to make it clear, guys, there are requirements for the PRB entry. It's not like it's subjective. Like, we have set requirements. It's just that I'm not telling you guys what the requirements are because the strategy is still in testing phase, right? So I know a lot of people have ideas about like what things can be done differently, but we have specific requirements for the PRB entry. And I appreciate that you guys have an opinion, but the thing is, like, the opinions aren't going to change anything because we have a set strategy that we've been applying for me and Maddie together. We tested days and days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks of the strategy to see what works best, right? So we do have a set criteria. Again, I'm not going to tell you guys exactly what it is because the problem with that is that people start to make changes to it and they start to get greedy and they start to try to apply it throughout the day, because I've applied it throughout the day and it does work throughout the day. But the whole point of this mentorship is to get you guys disciplined enough to follow something through, right? So if I show you exactly how to do it, you guys are going to try to do it throughout the day. And I already know because that's just how it works with everybody, right? The greed does come into play once you understand how a certain thing works. And then there's going to be small adjustments. And it's fine for you guys to make adjustments to just the once a day strategy, but not to be taking it all day because the strategy is meant to be taken once a day and keep you on track so that you don't blow your account. Because if you're taking a bunch of trades a day and you take a bunch of losses, it's going to be super easy to blow your account. But if you're taking one trade a day, it's going to be virtually impossible to blow your account. So let's see. Bloom has a question. Down 2K on my 100K eval, thinking of doing a reset will half off. Any thoughts from this group? So what contract size are you using, Bloom? And what's your max drawdown? Let me check. I can pull it up for your trailing drawdown. I've never used the 100K account, so I don't really know. Okay, so you're getting close to it. So let's see. If you have another loss, 8 contracts times 5 times 25. Yeah, if you have another loss, you're gonna be down. For me personally, I mean, it kind of just depends on your trade psychology. What I would recommend is first check when your account when it resets. So if your account resets within 10 days or within a week, then I wouldn't do the reset because you could just blow the account and then it'll reset automatically. You're going to pay for that monthly fee anyways. So you might as well just let it reset. You can just buy a new account and just have 2 accounts running. That's the better option. So if your account is, do you have the date when it's going to renew, Bloom? Because if it's within a week, then I would just keep using it and then open another account because it's cheaper to do it that way. Because if you reset this account, yeah, if that's the case, then I would just keep trading that account and hopefully you have straight wins. So if you have straight wins from now until then, you'll be back in profit, right? Because you're trading an 8 contract. Every time you take a trade, you're going to have 1,000 profit. So you could bounce back from that account. It's very possible. I would recommend to just hold it and then get another account if you can. If you really want to trade and you can't wait. Because the thing is, if you blow the account on Monday, it's going to reset. So you're just going to have a brand new account anyways without paying for the reset. But you have to blow the account. If it's not blown, then you're just going to keep going. So what I'd recommend is like trade it as much as you can before that date. Either bring it back up or blow the account, right? It's like do or die with that account. Because if it's blown, when it renews, they'll give you a brand new account. If it's not blown and you're like, say, for example, you're like really close to blowing it and you're down like 2,500, then in that case, it's going to renew it, but you're not going to get a reset. So you kind of just have to plan it out, right? You have to plan it out and kind of be strategic with your accounts. And that's kind of what I like about Apex too, is that like they basically give you a free reset every month as long as you don't, as long as you know how it works. So yeah, no problem, Blue. All right, so back to the criteria over here that we were looking at, guys. So at 6:30 right here, this is where market open. On market open over here, we were looking for a buy because the trend here was bullish. Price came up, right? So this is or price came down and then it never pushed back up yet. So in this situation right here, there's no entry for, or there's no opportunity for push and rejection and correction back to the upside. But this candle right here did have that. So you can see how this candle over here pushed down initially and bounce back up. So I'm just going to be straight up, right? You want to see it reject off structure. The structure right here is the pivot, of course. So this is kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for price to come down, reject off the structure, and come back up. That's going to be the first step. Price comes back down. You're no longer looking for a buy at this point because there's no trend there's no bullish trend. At this point now, you're looking for the same thing on this end. You're looking for price to come down, come up, and come back down, right? So right here, you can see this red candle pushes up and then it comes back down. So at this situation right here, you now have the first step, right? You have the push in the direction, retracement, and correction. That's gonna be the first step. Now you're looking for space. The space here was super obvious. It was right there, right? Space meaning that price just starts to go sideways at some point. It can be a doji, it can be a normal body candle with like equal wicks on both sides. You just want to see that sideways movement. The sideways movement happened right here. Now, at this point, we were looking for price to push up and then come back down, right? Retracement, correction back to the downside. And that's what happened here. Price spiked up a little bit, but it didn't actually reject off anything, right? The wick right there was super small. So this right here didn't count. Then we had price coming back up right here. And this is where our entry happened, right? This is the entry that we were looking for. We had price come down, push up, correction, space right here for sideways movement. Price came back down, pushed back up, and it came back down hard. So price pushed up, and then it pushed off the pivot right here hard, indicating that price was likely to come back down. But that just wasn't the case here, right? Price ended up pushing up. We got caught in this like fake out candle here again. And then that's how we took the loss. It seems like every time we take a loss, it's like the same type of situation. You get caught in this messy candle, which, I mean, it's just something that we can't really control, right? It's unfortunate, but it's just something that we can't really control. Like looking at this loss right here, right? This is the loss that happened last week. Price spiked up and then it came right back down. It ended up hitting TP. So I don't know, maybe there's something that we have to make an adjustment to with regard to TP stop loss when the volatility is high, because the volatility was 17 right here. And on this day it was 21, it was super high. And then our other loss over here, you know, the only 3 losses we've had, it's kind of the same situation. It's like, well, this one is different, of course. But yeah, these over here, like this loss from the 9th was pretty much the same thing. It just didn't end up coming back down as far. So let's see, Shannon said that's exactly what she did last week. She came too close to drawdown, maxed out the loss for the auto reset. Yeah, and that's the best way to do it, especially if you have your accounts that are coming up due for reset. So, all right, if there's any other questions, guys, you know, feel free to put them in the chat. What I'll do right now is I will go ahead and update my spreadsheet. So unfortunately, February is not a really great it's not a really great month. I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. But I'll update my thing here so that you guys can see. What my spreadsheet is looking like. So let's go back to the 13th over here. So 13th over here, 643. 2/13/24, 643. The entry yesterday was for a sell. And I'm going to stick to my game plan, guys. I'm just going to take the PRB entries to show you guys that if you guys just stick to one strategy, you should be able to find profitability. Obviously, I can take more entries, but for the sake of this mentorship, I want to show you guys that if you guys just stick to one strategy, you guys will be fine in the long term. So the time didn't really make a difference here. The time was at 644. Most of our losses happened like kind of early before 640, but for today, that wasn't the case. Today, it was for a sell, it was a loss, -25, 1 PRB, and the entry right there. Okay, so here are my stats for the month so far. It's not as great as we would like, but the stats are still pretty decent. So currently right now for the month of February, we currently have 6 wins, 3 losses, total profit of 75 points, total trades of 9 trades, win-loss ratio of 66.7%. We still have the rest of the month left, so we have a lot of time here. But you just got to stick to the game plan, guys. This is what I keep telling you guys, right? You know, thankfully we did really good in January. So January was high win-loss ratio, and it just continued to build off that. February here is just a bit of a rocky month, right? There's going to be months like this where you're going to have a rocky situation with regard to your trades. But as long as you close out the month strong, I mean, that's going to be key. Like, for example, we took a loss today, but you can't be scared tomorrow to take another trade because tomorrow can be that bounce back that you needed. And then we'll just keep going from there, guys. So. See, Gian said, yeah, stick to the game plan. I think probability losing is inevitable, but we'll bounce back and then some. That's really what it is. Yeah, Natasha said she's it's gonna take her longer, but she's still in a good spot. Yeah, definitely. Nikki's asking, can you explain gathering liquidity? Um, so what do you mean by that, Nikki? Because I don't use that term. So I'm kind of, I mean, you probably have to explain it to me because I'm not sure what you mean by gathering liquidity. People said, okay, I'm trying to think of, I think CT mentioned it and maybe Kip. CT in here? CT is not in here. Um, okay, well, I know what they were talking about. So let me just show you real quick um, what they were talking about. So what they meant by gathering liquidity, and I know this is exactly what they were referring to it too, was because price was going sideways, right? So price was going sideways, and this is what they meant about price gathering liquidity. So see how price was going sideways right here, back and forth? Whenever price establishes these high lows right here, this is what they mean about price gathering liquidity. Because when people enter sells, like for example, if, and I'll just delete these right here. So when people are entering sells, or if you were to enter a sell, Nikki, where would you place your stop loss, right? At the swing high. That's typically where everybody places their stop loss. So like, for example, if someone was to enter um, a sell position at random, like right here, say price is coming down, they're like, okay, I want price, I'm looking for a sell entry right here, right? Typically what people will do is they'll enter a trade right there, put their stop loss right there, and they'll go for a big TP stop loss, something like that, right? So that's what they mean about gathering liquidity, is that price is establishing liquidity here because people are placing their stop losses in this area. The stop losses are what liquidity is, because when these stop losses get hit, price has to push through it because it's going to flip the orders, right? If price pushes up to these points, basically when price hits these points, their stop loss is going to get hit, and then it's going to have a rush of liquidity to the upside. And that's what they were referring to. So for example, right here, people enter a sell at that point, they put their stop loss right there. And then again, right here, if someone wants to enter another sell, like say, for example, they see some reversal right here or something, right? They enter right here, they place their stop loss right there, and they do the same thing, right? And then a bunch of people are just chasing trades. It works both ways. It's not just for sells, it works on both sides. That's why they say gathering liquidity, because some people are taking buys here, some people are taking sells, right? So people have stop losses up here, and people have stop losses on the bottom side. That's why we have the liquidity chart here, because we have stop losses sitting here. We're anticipating that if price comes up and touches this area, you can take a buy entry right there, and it's going to push towards the next level of liquidity, which would be right there, right? That's why our liquidity pushes are set up like that. So let's just move forward a little bit, and I'll show you how it works in action. So this is exactly where it starts to turn, right? Price was going sideways right here. And then you got liquidity on both sides. So like wherever price goes, it doesn't matter where price goes. Price can go up and you can take that for a buy. Price can go down and you can take that for a sell. And you can see over here, if you were waiting for liquidity and you see how price pushes up from this point, you can see this big push right here, right? This big green area. It's because the liquidity here got hit. Pretty much everybody's stop loss that was entering sells, they just got wiped out and price came back up here. And then if you want to see here, price comes back for the retracement, because that's typically what happens. And it comes right back down to liquidity right here. So this is kind of like with our explanation for the PRB, right? We're like, damn, we got caught in the manipulation, which basically is what happened here, right? Price got manipulated to the upside. And then what happened? They hit your stop loss and then it comes right back down. So the key thing with trading liquidity is just you want to be on the right side of liquidity. It's not very easy to identify what the right side is because both sides can get hit. And you can see right here, there goes the next level of liquidity. So you actually saw it got hit on both sides, right? So you could have gone in this liquidity right here, or you could have got in at this liquidity down here. And that's what I mean about, or that's what they meant about gathering liquidity on both sides. Yeah, I mean, it's fun if you know how to do it, but it's not always easy. It's easier to see after it's happened. But that's why for me on the live session, I mark liquidity right before market opens on both sides. So whichever side you guys want to take, it's feasible. So yeah, no problem, Nikki. If there's any other questions, guys, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I think that's about it for this mentoring session. There's nothing really to cover because nothing came up today. All we had was a PRB entry that unfortunately flopped. But other than that, for the official entries over here, there's not really much going on. Price, again, is still bearish. The trend here is bearish, but there's no V1 patterns that are coming up. There may be a V1 pattern right here. So you can see how there's a double body setting up right there. If this candle closes red, then you'll have a double body rejection right there. This could be setting up for a breakout V3 continuation. The only problem here is that it's past 8 o'clock. My cutoff for entries are 8 o'clock. So I never trade after 8. If anybody wants to look for an entry here, you can look for the sell signal. You can see it followed by a red candle for a breakout V3 continuation. Otherwise, the other entry that can come up is retracement continuation to the downside. So if you guys are looking for that, that's going to be the next opportunity that may come up. But again, my cutoff is 8 o'clock, so there's nothing else for me to take here at the moment. So, all right, guys, if there's any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap this up for the day. As you guys can see, nice work over here, guys, keeping up with your spreadsheet. Joshua over here is currently up 3 wins, 1 loss. Nice work, Joshua. We have William over here as well. William's currently at 7 wins and 3 losses for the month so far. So William's doing pretty good as well. We have Nathan here. Nathan's currently up 7 wins and 3 losses. Nice work right there, Nathan. So it looks like a lot of you guys here are still doing very well. I mean, you guys are still doing good. You just got to stick to the game plan, right? So we got Casey over here. He's currently up 7 wins, 2 losses. Our main goal here is for you guys to stay consistent throughout the process. Like, it doesn't matter if you guys are more wins or more losses. We just want to see your consistency. This is the first month of the mentorship, so you don't need to be doing very well this month. Obviously, we'd like you to do well, but you don't have to do well because you're going to be fine-tuning as we continue along with the process. So we got Shannon over here. She had 11 wins and 6 losses. So her win-loss ratio is still pretty decent at 64. We're doing a 1-to-1 risk-to-reward with regard to the PRB. So as long as you stay above 50%, you should be profitable by the end of the month. We have Eunice over here. She has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 wins and 1, 2, 3, 4 losses. So Eunice over here again as well. It looks like everybody's around the same, about 65 to 70% win ratio at the moment. So all right, yeah, William said, yeah, you all keep me on par with keep my journal up to date and honest. So you just got to be honest with yourself, guys. Keep your journal up to date. And then when you make mistakes, it's fine. Just put notes there so that you guys can understand, okay, what you're doing wrong or what could be done differently. Even if you want to make adjustments to the strategy, right? Like I mentioned during the live session today, guys, you guys can make adjustments to the PRB entry. You don't have to do it exactly the way I'm doing it. But for me specifically, I have a specific way of applying it. Like I do have requirements and criteria. It's just that I'm not sharing it with everybody because they're going to change, right? I have specific requirements right now, but once we are able to have enough data on losses, so this is what I'm going to do eventually, guys. I'm going to have the spreadsheet right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up. So this is literally what I'm going to do. Once I have enough losses on this here, I'm going to pull up every single loss. And I'm going to study every single loss to understand, okay, why did we lose this trade, right? So like, for example, right here, every time we lose, we get spiked out. See this big red candle? We get spiked out. This could have been news. Today we got spiked out. This could have been news. This day, every time we lose, we get spiked out, right? We've only lost 3 times, but you can see every time we lose it, we get spiked out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to identify these entries. And then what I'm going to do next is I'm going to pull up the calendar. And I'm going to say, okay, what was happening that day that caused price to spike, right? And that's how I'm going to make adjustments. We only have 3 losses, so we don't have much data here to work with. So once we have more losses, hopefully we don't have any losses, but if we do have losses, that's where I'm going to pull this up, and then I'm going to pull that data to identify, okay, this is what we need to change to make the strategy better. But right now, the strategy is still very good, so we don't need to make any changes. So yeah, guys, just bear with me. It's the month of February. February is not always a good month, guys, for trading because it's a transition between the new year and we're going into like the more warmer months. So like January's always been good to us. You can see right here, we had a 93% win rate. February has been kind of okay for us. March has been okay. April's been okay. May's been okay. And then as it starts to get warmer, in June, like late May, early June, this is when the market starts to kind of slow down a bit. So we'll see, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to make things work. It's just going to be a matter of trial and error and identifying what needs to be changed, when it needs to be changed, which is definitely not right now. So, all right, guys, I think that's it for this session. If there's any other questions, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, we'll be back here tomorrow, same place, same time, live session, the mentoring session right after to cover what else needs to be covered. Otherwise, that's about it. So hopefully you guys are all doing good and you guys are still doing well in profit for the month of February. Everybody should be in profit, but if you guys aren't, it's completely fine. It's okay to make mistakes this month. We're going to fine tune, get better next month and the month after. And hopefully by the end of March into May, you guys will be